Hello everyone, welcome to another Wizard101 guide video. I know the last few days I haven't really been doing them, but now I am back. And I'm back for one that I think is pretty useful. But before that, I'd like to say thank you all for the support. I gained like 20 subs yesterday, which is pretty cool. Biggest sub day of my life, and I appreciate all of you, especially, for watching my videos. And just for showing up generally, because I never expected my channel to get as big as it is, even if it's not, extremely large. But I'm not going to talk about that for an hour. Today I'm going to be doing a video on... Is my Wizard101 quiet? Let me turn it up slightly. There we go. Slightly louder, slightly better. I'm going to be doing a video on deck setups and how to set up a deck. Now this isn't for PvP because I don't know how to PvP. So if you came here looking for PvP, I can't help you. But if you're just a general, the average PvE enthusiast, then you've come to the right place for deck setups. Now, I'm gonna go over early game real quick, which early game is significantly different than late game because early game has its own kind of setup. So for early game, you're gonna want probably one deck, right? And you want that one deck to have kind of a lot of varied spells that you can use in battle for like different cases and scenarios. So for example, my myth here, I actually don't have, I don't even have Minotaur because I didn't bother training it, but you can see this level 40 myth here. What I have is a very simple setup. I have a spare myth blade that I get like from my pet or something. I have 2 normal myth blades, 2 feints. Feints are always useful, especially against bosses, so I'd recommend you all have that. I have a hit all spell, Cyclops, Troll, and a Pixie. If you're talking about really early game, as in Crocotopia, usually I have something like a setup like 2 to 3 Trolls, 1 to 2 Imps, Pixie so that I don't die, and then a Blade. Usually you don't want to carry a ton of blades because that can get extremely inefficient in regards to deck space, which is what this video is mainly about actually, is that a lot of people I see use their decks extremely efficiently or inefficiently. So they go like this, right? They have new spells, so they're like, okay, I'm gonna take 4 myth blades, 4 this, and then they have this really full deck. And the problem with this is that you will always be full on spells. You'll never find the spell you want because most of the time you're going to be searching through your deck for spells. I don't like to do that. I like every spell in my deck to have a use, and that's what I usually do for later levels. You'll see I'll never have a spell in my deck that I won't use, which is, why it's the most effective way to do it. Now, once you get to probably around 40 to 60, what you're going to want to do is actually split into 2 decks. Now, the reason for this is that it's no longer effective. Actually, wait, I'm going to save my death for later because my death is a special case. It's no longer effective to have one deck because bosses need more mobs need significantly less spells than bosses. So, my Storm, for example, you can see here I have what I call the average deck setup for mobs. Now, what this setup is, it's what I use for every mob deck, and it's what I recommend everyone to use, and it's the 3 hit all spells. So every school can do that now: Rat Spin, Ship of Fools, Meteor Strike, Blizzard, Sandstorm, Tempest, Humongo Frog. That's all of them, I think. You want 3 of those, 3 enchants, then 2 blades and 1 blade enchant. Now, if you're at an earlier level, you're going to want 1 blade and then 1 blade from like your amulet or pet or whatever gives the blade. Now, the reason for this is every spell is used effectively. So for Storm, it's a bit different, but for other schools, it costs 4 pips, which means you can use it first round. So usually you always want to use your hit all spell first round against mobs, and then use the next round where you're waiting for pips for a blade. And the reason why I have this specific number in is that you will always get an enchant and a hit all first round. So like even if you got both blades, and even if you got both blades, the enchant and the 3 enchants for attacking, you still would have 1 slot for a Tempest. So no matter what, you're always going to get all the spells you want. You'll never be like, oh, I didn't get an enchant, so I can't hit, or oh, you know, I got too many blades, I can't hit. Basically, you're always going to have what you want, which is really important for me. For my deck setups, I always want to have the perfect setup so that I never have to wait and I never have to, you know, pass 30 rounds, because that just sucks. So you're going to want to do this. In regards to boss decks for later on, I find the best way to do it, this is probably a more late game one. So let me go to my level 80 fire, because this is a more earlier game setup. It's funny because I'm just switching from wizard to wizard, but my fires, here you go. So this is a boss deck that's more of a mid to late game boss deck. I usually like to have 4 spells. I have 1 hit all in case I don't kill with my main spell. I have 2 attack spells. I have this in just because I thought it was cool because I got it. Then you have 4 enchants. 2 feints is usually necessary. I would recommend having like a feint amulet and a normal feint so you can stack feints. Having blades, as you can see here, I don't have sharpened blade yet, so realistically it would be more effective if I only packed 1 of these. And then you can see I have Fireblade here. The reason why my fire had pack 2 is because the pet I was using before was this enchanted armament pet, which realistically was outdated. But you can see that that's the main thing you want, is you want to pack minimal spells, but make sure you have blades and traps to power yourself up. It's really important for decks to have this. So for example, my Death's deck is also very much like that. I actually only have 3 because I was questing with someone else. So you can see I have Scarecrow, King Artorias, because King Artorias is one of the best spells. And I have like 4 blades, feints. Basically, I don't usually use all the blades. I only use like 2 or 3 blades. I use my feints. Boom, you're done. Now, the reason why I save my Death for last is because my Death actually has 5 decks, because my Death is very varied in regards to what he has. So he has the standard attack deck that I showed you guys earlier, the 2 blades, enchant, then Ship of Fools, and Colossals. There's that. But I also have a support deck. This is my Malastare deck, and then I have my Shane Von Shane deck. So you can see I specifically designed this Death to doing Malastare runs and Darkmoor runs, because that's what I'm doing right now. Still haven't gotten the robe. Really do need that robe. I mean, realistically, I don't actually need it that much. It would just be nice for the resist. But I don't need it that much. Yeah, but that's basically what I recommend for a deck setup. The outlines of this video, if you skip to the end because you just want the TLDR, small, efficient decks are much better than large and inefficient decks. When you see people spamming spells into a deck, it actually disgusts me. Like, the reason... a lot of wizards, I use decks, like you can see my attack deck, realistically, I'm using a level 45 deck just so I can have the triangle jewel. Normally I wouldn't do that. I have some wizards where I'm still using like a level, you know, a really early level deck just because I don't use more than 20 slots on almost any of my decks. You can see none of my decks get past that second row, and this includes like my fire. If you've seen my fire, you know, my most powerful wizard, I almost never have more than two rows. The only exception to this is probably my ice. So that's a PvP deck that I made. But you can see like my ice's support deck. This was when I was battling Fellspawn. You can see, yeah, you can see I was packing a lot of spells into this, but even then I realistically wouldn't use I wouldn't use this deck this much, that much. I would really only use that for healing. And you know, it shows like, but the main point I wanted to get across was that you should go for efficiency, and definitely split into 2 decks later on, because you're gonna want to you know, change decks back and forth between boss and attacking, because just changing your deck before every battle just sucks. Now, another thing I'd like to say, don't get me wrong, you are going to have to probably adjust the deck sometimes. For example, when it's a blade only boss or a trap only boss, you're going to want to change your deck. When you need a convert, you're going to want to put converts in your deck. All of this is obvious, but what I'm saying is you don't need to pack converts all the time if you're not going against an enemy that's your school. It only takes a second or 2 to edit your deck. So basically that was the gist of this video. If this was helpful or you enjoyed, please drop a like, hit the sub button. Again, thanks for all the support recently, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a fantastic day. Thank you all for watching.